What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Baby BA, today back with another banger.
I get those goosebumps every day. I just caught a motherfucking rider. Tell that bitch you motherfucking right. I've been doing whatever I like, yeah. You know I get those goosebumps every time, yeah.
And as you guys can tell by the title, today is a very long-awaited story time. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I've been procrastinating. I've been taking care of my newborn, which is asleep up there. I've been procrastinating. I've been packing, as you can see. I've just been super busy, so I had yet to complete the story time that I have been making y'all wait for so long. I literally had her November 30th, and it is January something. So it's been almost 2 months that I've been procrastinating to do this, and today I'm finally doing it. So without further ado, let's get right into this video. But before we get started, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and follow me on all social media accounts, which will be linked in the description below. Also, before we get started, my family is home, so there might be noise in the background. There might be noise, people playing, people talking, people fighting occasionally. So I'm going to go ahead and apologize for that. So yeah, let's get started right into this YouTube video. So it all starts the 29th of November. I'm scheduled to be induced. I'm supposed to go in there into the hospital at 8:30 p.m. so I can get put on pitocin and labor overnight. I always had this image in my head that I wanted to labor overnight, not during the daytime. So the day comes, it's the 29th, I'm getting ready, my body is super anxious. Like, my mind says anxious, it's like I'm ready, but I'm not. Like, I'm super excited, overwhelmed with emotions. I'm pretty much just a ball of emotions. And so the 29th comes, and that day is just wild. I'm cleaning, I'm getting everything, all the last, dotting my I's and crossing my T's. I'm getting everything put together, all the last little bit of adjustments, and I'm getting all of that put together. Super excited, super scared. I do my makeup and make sure it looks really good, which, by the way, was a super bad idea, and I'll explain to you later on why that was a bad idea. So I'm pretty much crossing my T's and dotting my I's. I'm setting everything ready. My body is super anxious. As the time progresses, time gets faster and faster and faster, and then it's like from 1 hour to get headed to the hospital, 30 minutes to get headed to the hospital and everything. Mind you, the hospital is about 45 minutes away from where I live. And the whole day, my mom is also anxious. She's like, well, let's go now, like, at 3 o'clock. And I'm like,
Mom, I'm not supposed to be there till 8:30. We'll be fine. Like, we'll be fine.
she's like,
No, let's go right now.
but it didn't end up going. I ended up convincing her to stay here until the proper time for me to go was happening. So time gets closer and closer and closer, and it's finally like 2 hours before I'm supposed to be at the hospital. So we pack up the hospital bags, we pack up everything we need, and we put it in the trunk. My big old pregnant belly, and I'm just like, oh Lord, today's the day, today's the day. Whole time, I'm feeling these weird movements in my stomach. It feels like as if, this is what I thought it was, it feels like the baby is getting closer to the skin and my skin is stretching. Now, you'll understand why that plays a key part and why I said it now, later in the story, and we'll get to that. So, it feels as if my skin is stretching. So we hop in the car, and it's happening, and it's happening, and it's happening, and it's happening. I was like, oh my God, she's moving today. She must know that she's coming out today. Her eviction notice is happening. Like, she must know that today is the day. So it keeps happening, keeps happening. We go to Duck Inn, which is a gas station / McDonald's that is near my house. And we pick up McDonald's, and we know the people. It's a really small town, so we know the people that work there. And we stop, we talk to them, and we're like, today's the day. They're like, are you excited? I'm like, yeah, like, just carrying on a genuine conversation. And finally, my mom was like, are you ready to go? I was like, yeah. So we hop into the car, and we get headed to the hospital. So as we're on the way to the hospital, I'm still feeling these movements. I'm still feeling this so-called baby getting close to the skin, whatnot. And we just go, and my mom is like, all right, I'm going to play some gospel music. So my mom plays the gospel music when she wants, like, good vibes, good energy, and she wants everything to go well and smoothly. So she plays gospel music, and it's genuinely calming me down. It's like, and I'm breathing, and I'm calming down, and I'm like, so we finally get to the hospital. I immediately go live, I'm like, y'all, I'm at the hospital. Like, there's like 40, 60 people joining. Like, almost, like, eventually at some point during the night, 100 people join. And because everybody knew that day was the day, it was so long awaited, it was so hyped up, everybody knew that it was the day. So I'm at the hospital, I go live, and I'm like, alright y'all, I'm going to go ahead and end this so I can get situated into the hospital room. So we go in through like a side entrance, not the emergency room entrance, and we go in and we tell them we're scheduled to be, or I'm scheduled to be induced on this day at so-and-so time. So they're like, alright, you'll go to so-and-so floor, and you'll go and you'll check in with them. So we go to the 3rd floor, da-da-da-da-da. The whole time I'm like, whew, whew. Like, god dang, it's a lot of walking. So we go up to the 3rd floor, we go in there, we're like, we're scheduled to be induced, da-da-da-da-da. And they're like, alright, so we'll have you wait in the waiting room. So we're in the waiting room, I go live for like 5 minutes max, and we're in the waiting room, and then we're in there for like a good 30 to 40 minutes, and I'm like, yo, are y'all serious right now? Like, y'all had to have had a bed ready for me. Like, I was scheduled to be induced, why am I sitting in this room for so long? I guess it's just because I was so anxious that I was like, not being patient. So, I was like, so I'm scheduled to be induced, like, what's going on? And my mom was like, be patient, chill out. And so finally they come in here and they're like, are y'all ready? And we're like, yeah. So now I'm like, oh god, it's gonna happen. So of course I know that labor takes a few hours. Well, it really depends on the woman's body, but I was just so excited, you know, today was the day. So we go into the hospital room, they stick the IV in. If you guys are wondering, the IV doesn't hurt. Like, when you're pregnant, you get pricked so many times, you get so used to needles. So the IV doesn't hurt, they get the IV on, they get me set in the bed in my gown and my socks and everything. And yeah, everything's fine and dandy. My stupid stuff didn't eat. I ate, but like the whole night, like as I had an opportunity to eat, I did not. So she goes ahead and checks me in, and she goes ahead and checks to see how far I'm dilated. She hooks everything up. She's like,
You're not feeling these contractions?
and I'm like,
What?
I said, wait, that's what that, and this is how it ties into the story. I was like, that's what that feeling was? I thought it was just the baby getting closer to the skin, and like her stretching and just being excited. And she was like, yeah, those are contractions. And I was like,
What? Those are contractions?
so she was like, yeah, you're having them like 5 minutes apart. You're pretty much in labor. Let me go ahead and check you. I was like, oh my god. So I was going to have her anyway. She's like,
Yeah.
so, and I had been feeling those feelings for 2 days prior. So I've been in labor for 2 days pretty much. 3 actually. So she goes and checks me. She's like, oh, you're 4 centimeters dilated. She was like, you're in labor, girl. She's like, so we're not going to get you started on pitocin since you're pretty much in labor, and we're going to let you sleep till about 5 a.m. to see how far you progress naturally on your own. And I was like, okay, da-da-da-da. So throughout the night, the contractions, they're getting stronger. It's not unbearable. It's like, if you've ever had like a horrible period cramp, that's what it feels like. So I was like, god dang, it's kind of getting a little unbearable. Like, ouch. Like, it kind of hurts. So pretty much I was in labor, and 5:30 comes around, and they go ahead and start putting pitocin into my IV. Mind you, throughout the whole night, I didn't go to sleep till like 12 in the morning because I was so anxious. But mind you, the whole night, the nurses and the doctors kept coming in, running tests, getting me up, and I pretty much did not sleep. So they finally get me put on pitocin, pit, whatever you want to call it. It goes through my IV, and if you guys didn't know, pitocin is this liquid thing that progresses your labor, pretty much puts you into labor. It makes it happen fast, makes the contractions hurt more, makes them stronger, da-da-da-da-da. And they get me put on pitocin. So, mind you, my mom's the only one in this room besides like the doctors and nurses. So they get me put on pitocin at 5:30 in the morning, and my contractions, so it happened really fast. My contractions are hitting back to back to back, and they're getting kind of uncomfortable. They're like, it got to a point where I could still talk through them, but it was like, oh, another one's happening. And I had to breathe. My mom tried to run meditation apps and a bunch of other stuff, and it was just like, ooh, it got to a point where they were starting to get like, whew. So, and it hurt. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, it hurt. So she keeps checking me. She checks me throughout the night, and she checks me, and then she's like, and each time that she goes and checks me to see how far I'm dilated, it gets more and more uncomfortable, like it hurts. So she checks me, and she's like, oh, so you're 5 to 6 centimeters dilated, da 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 da. Mind you, I didn't have no pain medication, so I was straight up feeling it completely. And she was like, and your water bag is bulging. We're just waiting for it to pop, and then once it pops, you know, da 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 da. So she said my water bag was bulging, and she was just waiting for it to pop. She also said that at 4 centimeters. Keep that in mind. She's like, it's bulging. Like, we're just waiting for it to pop. Da 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 da. So like 5-6 centimeters dilated. I think it's like that much. So like your area inside, there's like your cervix. It's like this much, and the water bag is like bulging like that. So she's like, we're just waiting for it to pop, da 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 da. Mind you, each time that she checks me, it gets more and more uncomfortable. And then, so as the contractions continue to happen, as they continue to go through, finally she comes in, she goes to check me again. They can't check very often, although she was checking very often because of the way I was progressing. They're not supposed to because risk of infection, but she was doing so. So, which is, okay, whatever. So she went and checked me again. And she went to check me, and as she was checking me, it got so unbearable. I started crying, and I was whining. I was like, because it hurt. It hurt really, really bad. So she went and checked me, and when she stuck her fingers up there, she got like this much of her finger to go check my cervix, and my water broke all over her hands. And my mom told me later, she's like, this is what the nurse looked like when it happened. She's like, I guess she wasn't expecting it. And I felt so sad. I was so emotional. I was like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for that. She's like, it's fine. It happens all the time. It's fine. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I feel so bad. I was so emotional. And so my water breaks all over her. So have y'all ever been hit with a water balloon? I'm sure you have.
If you have any sort of childhood, you've been hit with a water balloon.
So, it felt like a water balloon inside you breaking. So it was like a huge gush. Went everywhere, all over my bed sheets, all over everything. So, and it continued to happen. Like, I was peeing myself. I couldn't control it. I couldn't hold it in, and I couldn't do none of that. It continued to happen, and it would just gush, 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 gush. It was like one big gush, and it continued to gush for a few hours. So it was a lot of water. Amniotic fluid, whatever. So the nurse gets me up. She puts like this towel in between my legs, and I have to walk to the bathroom, wipe myself up, da 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 da, while they get new bed sheets and whatnot put on the bed. So I do all that. I get back to my bed, and I get hit with a contraction. So if you guys didn't know, your water bag, before it breaks, it acts as a cushion. Your contractions are like this, and it acts as a cushion to keep it from hurting as bad. So when my water broke, it was gone. There was no cushion. So these contractions hurt they hurt so bad. Like, I'm not even lying to y'all. They hurt. They were very, very painful. So I wasn't crying or anything, and at this time I'm like 7 centimeters dilated, da 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 da, and I'm not crying or whatnot. I have no pain medication. It just is like, it gets to the point once the water bag breaks, I'm like, and I'm just breathing through it, and it hurts. It hurts like really, really bad. So something I was definitely not expecting. But I had horrible period cramps before, so it was something that I could manage in a way. So I was 7 centimeters dilated, and I'm just dealing with contractions. I'm just dealing with contractions. So she goes, and I'm going through these contractions. I'm sitting back. I'm eating ice chips. I'm like, this is so hard. It hurts so bad. And then she goes and checks me again. She was like, oh, you're 9 centimeters dilated. And at this point, I'm progressing very fast. And at this point, it's gotten to a point where I'm starting to cry because it hurts so bad. And as you can see in the pictures on my Instagram, the pictures I posted, you can see that my mascara and my makeup is ruined. It's all over my face because it hurt that bad. I was crying. I wasn't like, but I was like, and my tears running down my face. If I still had the video, I would insert it, but I don't. But there was like tears running down my face, and I was like, so these contractions hurt really bad. It's exactly how it sounded. They hurt. It was 9 centimeters dilated, and I was finally like, my mom was like, you need to get this epidural now. It might not even work now, but you need to get it. Like, you're gonna regret not getting it pretty much. And I was like, okay. Like, so I tell my nurse, I was like, can I get the epidural? Because it was hurting that bad. I was like, I can't do this tomorrow. Like, can I get the epidural? I'm 9 centimeters dilated, no pain medication. And I'm like, yo, can I get the epidural? She's like,
well, the doctor's got a lot of C-sections to do. It's a hit or miss whether you can get it or not.
I was like, oh my God. So we wait. And finally, the doctor, before a C-section, the anesthesiologist, before a C-section, he comes in and he prepares the epidural. So I'm super nervous. I'm super like, but at the same time, I'm like, this is so this hurts so bad. I can't imagine what pushing the baby actually out would feel like. So he goes and gets ready. He's like, all right. And he puts like this. So in the hospital, they have this weird like rolly table thing that you eat your food on while you're in the hospital bed. And it's like, it's got wheels and has like a thing and it goes like a table like this. So it's able to push into the bed and you could just eat. So he pushes it to the side of the bed. It tells me to bend over like this. So let me see if I can portray that. So I'm bending over like this. I'm supposed to bend over like this. And then my mom comes out of, she was using the restroom. She comes out and she starts to rub my hand and she's like, it's okay, look at me, da 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 da. And then all of a sudden I feel this needle on my back. So the epidural, I wouldn't say per se that it hurt. I mean, it did, but it didn't. So it put in my back. At first it felt like an initial prick. But as soon as it got like into my spine and they started like injecting the numbing cream or whatnot before they were to, no, not in the spine. As soon as they stuck it in, they started injecting the numbing cream or the numbing liquid or whatever, so that it wouldn't hurt when the epidural happened. That's when it started to burn. So it's nothing compared to the contractions. Like, if you're going into labor, if you're watching this, trying to prepare yourself for giving birth,
get the epidural.
It has a little sting, but it's nothing compared to the contractions. Nothing compared to the contractions. I'm telling you this now. So they go in and they inject, and mind you, this needle's like this thick. So they go in and they inject this numbing stuff, and it stings. And all of a sudden, like, I feel the thing go on my spine, the little needle, but it didn't hurt because of the numbing liquid or whatnot. And then he injects the epidural and the catheter and whatnot. And it feels like this ice cold water. You can feel it shoot through all of your veins, all of your nerves. Like, you literally feel it. Like, have you ever seen the Spider-Man movie and like the spider bites him and you can see how this stuff goes all throughout this person's like veins and just gets all over his body? That's what the epidural feel like. Like, you could feel it going to each part of your body through like a vein, bloodstream, whatnot. You could feel that, and it was like ice cold. So then after he was done, there was a catheter. I had to hold like this plastic string over my back because there was like a plastic catheter in my back. So that they put in my back so I can continue to get epidurals if it hurt, or the epidural liquid or whatnot. So I sound like I'm gonna cry. Oh my god. So I get back on my bed and I'm like, please work, please work, please work. It starts to numb. However, it's only really working on one side of me, and I'm like, freak. Like, I was hoping and praying this would not happen, and it happened. So they put me on my side so it goes to the other side, and we're trying to just even it out at this point. And finally my legs feel like super heavy. I can still rub them and feel them and stuff, but they feel super heavy. I can't pick them up, I can't do none of that, but I can still feel them. So like if I were to touch my leg, I could feel it, you know what I mean? So I'm sitting there and I'm eating my ice chips, and finally it numbs, whatever. I can still feel them, whatnot. So I'm texting my friend. I'm not going to use his name because privacy reasons. So I'm texting my friend on Snapchat and I'm updating him on what exactly is going on, how I'm progressing, what's happening, telling him what's going on. And in the middle of me texting this paragraph explaining like how my time has went, I feel this huge pressure, and I feel this huge pressure in my butt as if I have like to poop really bad, really, really bad. It's like a super heavy pressure, so heavy, and I'm like, whoa. And my mind wasn't wanting to accept the fact that she was coming. My mind was not wanting to accept it. I'm just thinking, like, I know this feeling isn't normal. I know something's up. I know this hasn't happened. And I'm like, Mom, I just got a huge pressure in my butt. I was like, I don't know what it is, but it's super heavy. And she was like, I never see my mom jump up that fast. And she jumped up and she was like, do you want me to check you? Do you want me to check you? Da-da-da-da, are you okay? Like, are you in labor? Are you ready to push? Like, da-da-da-da. And I was like, I don't know. She's like, well, call the nurses. I feel her head come through my cervix. Like, it come through it. I feel her drop. Like, come straight through my cervix. And I'm like, she's coming. Let's call the nurse. So I call the nurse. I hit the button on my thing. And I'm like, my baby's coming. Like, I'm ready to push. My baby's coming right now. Like, y'all have to come. And they're like, all right, we're sending people now. And my midwife, a bunch of doctors and nurses, a few students come in. They're like, can they watch? I was like, yeah, of course. They come in. It's like 8 different nurses and doctors. They come in. And a doctor goes to check me. She gets like this much finger in my... I like ran out of storage. And as soon as like the part I was having. But anyway, so she gets this much finger in there, and she's like, oh, her head's right there, like, it's time to push. So the doctors, the midwives, everybody starts coming in. My midwife will not. Everybody starts coming in. They get all like these weird like cutting, and like it looked like I was about to go through surgery. Like they get this whole table in full of scissors, knives, all that, and they're like, you know, it's time to push. So my mom holds one of my legs and the student holds the other part of my leg. And my mom was like, God, and she told me later, she's like, your legs literally felt like 300 pounds. They were so heavy. It's because I couldn't feel them or even lift them to try to help. So I thought I was going to be nervous, like that everybody's looking at my area, but it didn't even faze me. I was about to have a baby. It did not even faze me. And I was like, oh my God, I'm about to have a baby. I'm about to have my baby. My midwife was like, well, I seen on the monitors, like her heart rate dropped, which if the baby's heart rate drops, it means that they're coming down. So she's like, I seen it, and I tried to send people to come in here, but no, I guess nobody came. And she was like, so she's been ready to come for like a while now. I was like, oh my God, like I felt her. She was ready to come, like she was right there, like I could feel it. I get ready, and so my legs are propped up. They're like this. They get ready. She puts her finger like in my area, so that she could keep me from tearing. It's some sort of way to keep you from tearing, or at least try. It's like a precaution, so they can also get the baby's head out. And then as soon as a contraction comes, I can feel it, but I can't. I can only feel it in the top of my area, my stomach. I can't feel it down here. They're like, all right, it's a contraction. I was like, I know. Like, they're like, you ready to push? And then so like they said to curl up, whatnot. And so I go and I breathe in and I push, and you have to. And the first time I didn't push with all my might. Like I thought I was doing it. They're like, no, baby, you gotta push harder. Like push harder. And I was like, oh my God, like this is crazy. Like I'm having a baby and I'm crying. I'm like, I'm about to have a baby. Like I'm so excited. And they're like, yes, like you're about to have a baby. So I push, and I'm like for 10 seconds you have to push, holding your breath and squeezing as hard as you can. They're like, you're doing good. Just telling me like, instructing me throughout how to push and stuff, that you're doing good. And then her head starts to crown. She's like, oh, she's crowning, like she's got so much hair. But well, before she crowned, let me like do this. Before she crowned, my mom said that the midwife, I heard her say like, oh, she's got so much dark, beautiful hair. And my mom said the midwife, like her hair was like, she wasn't coming out of my area yet. She was on her way, but she wasn't like crowning yet, and her hair was like sticking out of my area. And the midwife was just like, look at how much hair she has. Look at how much hair. And my mom was like, and so I just heard her say that, and they're like, do you want to touch the baby's head? I was like, no, because I knew it would be all like slimy, and I felt like I was gonna faint if I were to touch her head. Like I was so scared if I touched her head. Like I never had a kid before. I'm about to have my own baby. I was just like, no. So I'm sitting there like, all right, push. And as she starts to crown, it starts to burn. I was like, oh my God, it's burning. I can't do this. And it burns. Like it feels like fire. I guess they call that the ring of fire. And it burns. Like it burns pretty darn bad. Ran out of swords again. Anyway, it starts to burn, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I can't. And they're like, yes, you can. And my mom starts to like tear up a little bit. And I'm pushing, and I finally feel her head break through, and the nurses grab it. And I'm like, all right, push again, and I push one more time, and she's able to use her fingers to maneuver her out of my body, and it went smoothly from there. The head was the worst part. So she gets her shoulders out, and the baby just flushes out, and all the liquids just flush out behind it. So they wipe her down, they pick her up. She's not breathing. In the beginning, she's not breathing. She hadn't caught her breath. And normally when a baby comes out, they like immediately start crying. No, she didn't start crying for a while. So they push her out, they're rubbing on her, they're drying her up, they're cleaning up all the blood. And like she's really dark blue. Like she's dark blue. I guess she had been in my thing for so long without air. Like she just had air for so long, she was dark blue. They started getting the stuff out of her throat and everything, and all of a sudden you hear my mom said it looks like if you ever watch a movie where somebody drowned and they finally catch that breath of air again, she said that's what it was like. She catches the air, and then she starts crying. They're like, good, she's crying, and I'm like, oh my God, my baby. I'm so emotional. I keep saying, my baby, I feel so complete. Oh, I feel like I'm gonna cry again, because I remember it was like the best. It was the best feeling in the world. Like, it was so amazing. Like, it was so magical. They put her on me, and they put her on my boobs so she could eat, and she was right here, and she I don't know why the TV's so loud out there, but they put her on my boob. I'm like, my baby, complete. My mom's crying. The students are crying. Everybody's crying. I'm bawling. My makeup is just done for. Like, I shouldn't have came up in there with makeup on, because I bet people were like, but like my eyeliner and everything was everywhere. Oh, you're about to see my baby. I'm gonna make this quick. I'm gonna make this quick, so I can finish it faster. So I'm like, my baby, and I'm so emotional. I feel so complete. I feel so complete. And she's eating, and she's just looking at me, and she's smiling. She's just looking at me, so happy. So such a happy baby, and I was bawling. I can't even explain the feeling that I felt. It was the most amazing feeling anybody, like, I couldn't compare it to nothing else. Like, it felt like I was so complete. Everything was perfect. I was super happy. So they finally give me time to adjust with the baby for about an hour, bond, skin to skin, and they wash her up, bring her back, and she's a different color. She's not blue anymore. She's like super, super pale, which normally all babies are, and I'm holding her, and yeah, so I ended up being in the hospital for 3 days, taking care of her, bleeding. But I will give a postpartum story time and like postpartum, answering your postpartum questions. If you guys want that, so comment down below if you do want that video to answer postpartum questions and whatnot. Just comment down below if you want me to do that, because I'm not going to get too much in it because I don't want this video to be too long. But I will get into it in a different video if you guys would like. So that's how my labor went. That's how everything went. Wonderful experience. The nurses and doctors were so kind. Like, oh my god, they were the best. So, and yeah, that's how that happened. So, if you guys enjoyed this story time, make sure to leave a like, comment, and a subscribe down below. Make sure to follow all my social media accounts, which will be linked in the description below as well. And comment what videos you would like to see from me next, what story times, whatnot. And yeah.
I get those goosebumps every day. I just caught a motherfucking rider. Tell that bitch you motherfucking right. I've been doing